Nobody told me what silence sounded like on a Vethani channel until I heard it for myself. Before that day, I would have said silence was just the absence of noise. I know better now. I was 9 months into my first posting aboard TFS Caro's Reach, a patrol frigate assigned to Threshold Boundary Station 7, which is a formal way of saying we flew the same 400,000-kilometer loop, week after week, along the edge of the zone the Vethani Compact had designated as monitored space. They'd been monitoring it for 60 years, longer than I'd been alive, longer than most of the crew had been alive. The Compact kept a picket line along their side, and we kept a patrol line along ours, and the two lines never crossed, and everybody pretended that was diplomacy. My station was forward comms and passive sensor relay. That meant I spent most of my watch staring at a console that told me what other consoles already knew, transcribing Vethani traffic I wasn't cleared to decode, and logging contact signatures I wasn't cleared to analyze. I was 24 years old, and convinced I was wasting my time. I was wrong about that too. The day in question started as they all started. The Caro's Reach completed the outbound leg of the loop and came about on the return heading. Lieutenant Mace, our XO, ran the morning muster from the bridge without looking up from his tablet. Captain Jarrell Ashby reviewed the night log over coffee and said nothing worth recording. I came on watch at 0600, checked my board, found nothing unusual, and settled in. At 0712, the passive array flagged a formation emergence on the compact side of the boundary. 4 vessels, Vethani Intercept class, the long-hulled kind with the forward sensor clusters that always looked to me like something mid-reach. Standard grouping, the lead ship broadcast on the standard hail frequency, standard authentication codes, standard interval. The Compact ran these intercept checks on us twice a week. I had logged 41 of them. I logged this one the same way and opened the standard acknowledgement channel. Captain Ashby was already on the bridge. He'd seen the emergence on the plot the same moment I had. He came to stand behind my station, which he did sometimes when Vethani contacts came in. Not because he didn't trust me, I think, but because he wanted to be close to the feed. He had a way of listening to comms traffic the way old sailors were said to read weather, not reacting, just absorbing. I acknowledged the Compact hail per protocol, identified the ship, the registry, the patrol sector, the watch officer on duty, Specialist Second Class Dale Oren, that was me, and stated that the Caro's Reach was conducting routine boundary observation and was prepared to receive the Compact's contact notation. Then I waited. The standard interval for a Vethani response to acknowledgement was 40 seconds. I know this the way I know my own name. I have logged it 41 times. At 40 seconds, nothing. I checked my transmit log to confirm the acknowledgement had gone. It had. I checked the frequency. Correct. I checked the authentication header. Correct. At 60 seconds, I glanced at Captain Ashby. He was looking at the Vethani formation on the plot, not at me. His coffee was in his hand, and he hadn't taken a drink of it. At 90 seconds, I said, quietly, "No response on standard, sir." He said, "I see it." I opened the secondary frequency and repeated the acknowledgement. Same identification, same notation, same prepared to receive. My voice was steady. I was 24 years old, and I had 41 logged contacts, and I did not know yet what was happening, so I was still operating on procedure. The Vethani formation had not moved. All 4 ships were holding position on their side of the boundary, exactly where they'd emerged. Their engines were not powering for approach or withdrawal. They were simply there, at distance, facing us. At 2 minutes, I said, "Still nothing on secondary, sir." Ashby set his coffee down on the edge of my console. He hadn't drunk any of it. Lieutenant Mace pulled up the Compact's formation telemetry on the secondary plot and started talking quietly into his headset, to the engineering section, I think, or to the gunnery crew. I couldn't hear what he said. I was focused on my console and on the silence that was sitting in my headset like a weight I couldn't account for. Here is what I didn't understand then, and what I had to be told later. The Vethani Compact's intercept procedure is not a courtesy. It is a behavioral measurement. Every response we'd ever given, the timing, the phrasing, the sequence of authentication codes, had been fed into their contact modeling system over 60 years of these interactions. They had built a model of us. Reaction time, protocol variants, linguistic register, physiological stress markers and voice transmission. They knew, within margins, how a Terran crew on a boundary patrol would respond to contact check. They'd refined that model 41 times in this sector alone. What their model expected at 40 seconds was a standard acknowledgement, with a stress reading consistent with routine, a voice register consistent with a junior watch officer performing a logged function, and a follow-up within protocol parameters. What they got was exactly that. And then, nothing happened. That was the part the model couldn't process. We had acknowledged correctly. We had not powered weapons. We had not maneuvered. We had not issued a counter-challenge, or a protest, or a request for clarification. We had done everything the model said a Terran crew would do, and then we had simply waited. The compact system was designed to trigger a next action determination based on the response it received. We had given it the expected response. The next action pathway said, issue contact notation, complete the check, log, proceed. But something, and I've spent years since trying to understand what, exactly, something in the aggregate reading of that exchange didn't match. Not the words, not the protocol, something underneath the protocol. Something in the weight of our waiting. I have been told by people who understand the Vethani better than I do that their caste structure creates extreme sensitivity to behavioral signals. They are, in the word one analyst used, exquisitely calibrated to detect when an entity knows more than it is saying. Their intercept checks are partly authentication and partly a diagnostic. They are trying to determine whether what they are facing is what the model says it should be. We were what the model said we should be. We did everything the model predicted, and that, apparently, was what broke it. At 6 minutes and 40 seconds, the Vethani formation's lead ship fired its maneuvering thrusters. Not toward us. Away. Slowly, in the careful, ordered way that ships move when the crew aboard them is trying very hard to appear deliberate rather than afraid. The 3 escort vessels followed in sequence. They withdrew across the boundary on the reciprocal of their emergence heading. Their drives never went above 1/3. They kept their sensor arrays pointed at us the entire time, right up until they crossed back through their own picket line and vanished from my board. I logged the contact, duration, formation composition, frequency, outcome. In the outcome field I wrote, compact formation withdrew without completing notation. No explanation received. Ashby picked up his coffee. He looked at it for a moment, then set it back down without drinking it. File it standard, he said, and went back to his chair. 2 days later, an intercepted compact diplomatic channel, not decoded by us, passed to us in summary by fleet intelligence, contained a word that the translator noted had no clean equivalent in standard. The closest rendering given was, the condition of discovering that a model is wrong in a way that cannot yet be specified. The analyst's note said the word appeared in the context of the Boundary 7 contact log. It said the compact had flagged the encounter for review by their senior caste council. It said no further detail was available. I've thought about that word for a long time, what it means for a civilization built on perfect rational modeling to encounter a situation where all the inputs were correct and the output still didn't behave, where they got exactly what they expected from us and still couldn't determine what we were. We hadn't done anything. That was the thing. We hadn't revealed a weapon or broken protocol or said something unexpected. We had simply waited, the way people wait when they are comfortable with silence. The way you wait when you have nothing to prove and nothing to fear, and all the time in the universe to let the other party work through whatever they're working through. I don't know what the Vethani Compact's senior caste council concluded. I don't think anyone on our side does. But they've run 4 fewer intercept checks on our patrol line since then. And whenever their formation does emerge, they complete the notation fast, and they don't linger. I still log every contact the same way. Formation, frequency, duration, outcome. In the outcome field, lately, I write, compact formation completed notation and withdrew at standard interval. What I don't write is what I think about afterward, that somewhere in their modeling system, updated and refined over 60 years, there is a flag attached to the Caros Reaches registry that the analysts on our side cannot read, and the compact has not explained. I think it says something like, do not expect this one to behave the way the model predicts. I think they're right.